Okay, we're live.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Knicks Dreams. We are here with Mr. Bill Stradamus, Santana, and Henry to talk Knick basketball. So welcome, everyone, and fans all over the world and of all ages. Uh, the best is yet to come. Take it away, Santana.
All right, folks, welcome Knicks Nation to our New York Knicks lunch special. If you want to participate in this particular broadcast, we welcome you to drop your comments in the chat. And of course, we welcome you to share your thoughts, questions, or anything you want to talk about. And we'll include that in the conversation as well. Of course, we're going to be talking about yesterday's game at the Garden between the Knicks and the Denver Nuggets. As expected, at least from my perspective, the Nuggets obviously, won that game, and they won that game decisively. There was no question. They were pretty much in control from wire to wire. That didn't surprise me. What did kind of disappoint me was some of the players' output or production or lack thereof. One in particular was R.J. Barrett. The brother's killing me. I'm sorry. I know he's a second-year player, but I haven't seen the progression in his game. I haven't seen the adjustments that he needs to make to be a better player, as you move on through your career in the NBA. And this is something that is very concerning because now it's starting to become a pattern to the point that I think personally that he's lost his confidence because his approach going to the basket, and we talked about this in previous episodes in terms of how he goes about finishing at the cup is, he's just throwing stuff up. It doesn't even seem like he has a rhyme or reason to just square himself up, square up, use the backboard and stuff like that. It's like it's a foreign concept to him. So I'm very concerned for him personally because his game is definitely not where I think it needs to be. And I'm sure, he probably may say the same thing. But, those are adjustments that can be made. And yet I don't see it being made from one game to the next. But I'm going to leave it there because I know there's a lot that we can talk about. And I'm going to share it, or I'm going to pass the rock now to Bill Stradamus and get his take on things.
Your iCloud account. I agree with you 100%. And the game, yesterday's game just showed us that when we face real teams, because Denver's a top team in the league, whether anybody wants to recognize that or not, they're a top team in the league. And it just showed the difference between them and us. Starting from the Joker, we had nothing for that cat, nothing at all for him. But, he's, in my opinion, he's the best big man in the game, even over Embiid, in my opinion. That's my opinion. I would take him on the Knicks over Embiid being on the Knicks because I think he's a smarter player. I think he's a smarter ball player. Although Embiid may have the physicality and the athleticism over him, I think dude is averaging a triple double. We're a center averaging a triple double. That's crazy. And then you got to see the other guys on the team. Now Murray was fantastic in the playoffs last season in that bubble. However, he's not had the season that everyone expected him to have so far, coming off his tremendous play in the bubble. However, and I don't know what he's averaging because that game I stopped even taking notes. I normally take notes, but I have a very few notes in my book here for that game. Mm-hmm. And I know that others around them, they share the wealth and they have a very well structured game plan every time out. Their offense is better than ours, as well as their defense. Well, seemingly their defense was better, even though they're not known to be a great defensive team. They basically put us in our place. That was a wake-up call for us. So although, I was expecting us to do a little better and maybe even pull that one out, it was just a tale of two totally different teams. And, there's not much to say after that. So I'll throw it behind the back to Henry 20. What you think there, bro?
Well, as I said in our previous podcast, it got late early.
Very early.
Okay. And we came into the game, or the game was almost a replica of the previous game against OKC. There was just inept shooting. They couldn't get in the lane. I even saw where the times that they did get in the lane, it was like they were throwing it up there kind of nervous, that it was going to get blocked, or I don't even know what, because there was a couple of times when Peyton got in the lane and he was right there.
Yeah,
he missed about 4 or 5 of those shots within the first and the second quarter. So, and I have to agree with Santana about my disappointment with R.J. Barrett. He is beginning to look a lot like Knox. Okay, where the expectations were so high that he's not reaching those expectations. So, I'm hoping again that the only thing that I can do is hope that he'll turn it around. There will be games where the competition or the defender won't be as long, and that's one of the problems that he's having. In OKC game, those guys were long, and even though he tried to get around them, and then all of a sudden he couldn't, finish at the basket. In the Denver game, those guys are bona fide defenders. They're not going to get nothing easy. And I think teams are figuring out that if they sag in the paint and let us shoot those 3-pointers, it's going to be an easy night for them.
Yeah, you mentioned a great point, and I just want to recognize the chat. We got a chat from Nathaniel Hurt indicating no focus. Absolutely. Something. There was a disconnect there somehow, in some way, shape, or form, and it showed itself on the court. But in terms of going back to R.J. Barrett and who he's going up against, in terms of folks that may be longer, have more height, that's when you have to be, especially when you're going down to the post, that's when you have to be that much more fundamentally sound. Because you can get your shot over a big man if you know how to use angles, if you know how to use your body, little bump and then fade away, or
right.
A little a drop step here and stuff like that. But he doesn't have that. It doesn't come across. His approach is, okay, he's gonna back him up and then he's just gonna turn around and shoot. Just turn around and shoot. There's no like squaring or even pivoting to do up and under. That kind of footwork takes time. The guys that had that kind of footwork back in the day was a Kevin McHale and Akeem Olajuwon. Now these guys, when they were in the post, look at Akeem. Akeem was shorter. Akeem was shorter than Shaquille O'Neal. Akeem was shorter than Patrick. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Put him in that blender with that footwork.
His footwork was off the charts. He could get his shot off. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's what I don't see in this cat, R.J. Barrett. He has no. It seems to me like he doesn't have that part of his game developed. And right now, he figures what he was able to get away with in college, he could get away with in the pros, and that's two different animals.
Two different. Especially if you don't have a jumper. If you don't have a jumper, you think you're gonna walk into the big boy league and run them up just like you did in college? Because college basically they rolled the ball out there because he was the number one option. He was the number one player, and Zion kind of snuck up on everyone. And so once it was him and Zion, he was like that. It made it easier for him, basically. So they just rolled the ball out there and let them run and play. We'll shoot as many shots as we need, and me and Zion will bring us the victory. You can't do that in the big boy league. You cannot do that. And by the way, Nathaniel Hurt, he's from the Knicks Fix chat. That's my cousin. Salute. And he ain't no Nathaniel Hurt. We call him Bugsy.
Welcome
aboard, Nathaniel.
He's gonna get on, soon. I'm staying on him. I want him to come on, and give us his feelings, live.
Well, he's sharing it. He's sharing it in the chat, and that's cool, man. I mean, I'm gonna post it up there so we can talk about it. We can have a conversation with our audience as well. They could put up the questions up, and we'll talk about it, and we'll go back and forth. So he's saying Barrett not good with bully ball, need a lot more work. Absolutely. Henry, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I'm going to go back to his prior comment where he says no focus. And for a moment there, and during that win streak and early on, IQ looked like, he was going to bring in, some energy and some focus, and we were going to get consistent play. But when I saw Dibs, get in his face when he pulled him out.
Oh, yeah.
And he never came back in the game. He told that boy, yo, you ain't up here to chuck up that bullshit. Excuse my language. For those of you listening, you're not here to do that. You're here. You are here to do what I tell you to do. And, that is also a lack of focus. That's what I wanted to bring it back to. That is also a lack of focus. I think that he is getting caught up in the fact that he did well in a couple of games. And he thinks that he's going to be able to do the same with every opponent. And people are not going to let you just do what you want to do. And the refs aren't going to call those calls that you were getting in college. Right. And when you take your shot, it better be a good shot. He was taking the shot from the hash mark, a three-pointer from the hash mark, where, he's not even giving himself a chance to make those. You got to take the layup, the baby jumper, and then, out to the line. And then you can go, you want to do your Steph Curry imitation. But you don't come into the game and the first thing you do is throw up a prayer.
Right.
Right. So that's lack of focus. And I'm hoping, like I think I heard Rivers say at one time, listen, we got a long way to go. We got a long way to go. We're doing okay now. This was a couple of games back when they won. And even he is retrieving. It's coming like what happened? What happened to all of these, shots that you were making 3 games ago that didn't go down in OKC against OKC and Denver? Go ahead.
For some reason, he seemed reluctant to shoot last game. Rivers, he did a lot more passing than I would have liked, but their offense is predicated on ball movement to try to get someone that open shot. So maybe he was just falling in line, trying to keep the offense moving. And maybe he didn't think that he felt it. So maybe he was doing what he felt he needed to do while he was on the floor to help them win. However, if he has open shots, he's there. He has to take those. He has to take them. Well, but maybe, and then based on what both of you said, or what everyone is saying, their focus, maybe he saw that the focus wasn't there from certain players, so he tried to, bring it back full circle. But they was just bad, It was just bad. It was just like I said, a tale of 2 different teams, 2 totally different teams.
With quickly, the thing with him is Tibbs and even other players, have been giving him his props in terms of being a shooter. Okay, and I'm going to preface what I'm going to say with what I'm saying right now, which is, you're building him up before he's even proven himself. And that's okay. Right. You could do something in practice. He may seem like he's good, but you don't want to build him up into the meter because He is a rookie. He hasn't proven himself. It takes time to do that at this level. Even if he's killing it in practice. Even if he's killing it in practice, you don't necessarily want to put that kind of pressure on him. Number one. And number two, you don't want to build him up to the point that he's believing the hype. Because
I think that's what he is doing.
Yeah, then he starts coming into the game, like you said, Henry, and he's shooting from the hash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, man. Yeah, when have you taken that, that type of shot and made it? You got to make that shot at 40%. Plus, you just got into the league, man. Get into a nice little flow, something that's within the context of the game, and don't try to be hero up in the hash mark. Who are you trying to impress? No. You don't want to. I believe in positive reinforcement. I do believe in that. But I'm going to be careful. I'm going to be measured in the commentaries that I make because I don't want my players to get a swole head. Because then when you're trying to rein them in, it's harder to rein them in. Okay? Especially when you're building him up. Oh, he's the best shooter I've ever seen. When have you heard Tibbs say that about a player before? I don't remember. And he's giving that kind of praise to this kid. Now you see what you see. He's 0 for 4 from the field. The 4 points he got were at the free throw line. Okay, good. He's a free throw shooter. He can hit the free throws. That's a good thing. But we got other parts of his game that we still got to develop. Let's take it slow. Let's take it a little bit at a time. Let's find a nice, pocket for him that he knows he's gonna get this kind of shot. This is a good shot within the flow of our offense. But of course, this is growing pains. He's a rookie. He's learning, but that also falls on Tibbs because you can't build him up like that. Well, it's that, and now look at him. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, Henry. I know you were gonna say something.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the fact that Tibbs got on one of those interviews, and he was asked about Emmanuel Quigley, and he did say how great of a shooter he is in practice and all of that wonderful thing. So he did build him up, and the kid took that as to mean that hey, I've arrived, man. My coach thinks I can get out here and just play my game, and what we need from him is to be a floor general. Is a assist first point guard,
right?
To drive to the basket and get fouled because he is a good free throw. He was an excellent. I think he's still shooting at 100% free throw shooter. So if you're good at the free throw line, if you're that good at the free throw line, go get fouls. Go get some fouls.
Go to the basket.
And then when you see get some fouls and some 3-point plays that way, now they respect your driving ability, and you might find yourself open for the 15, 20, and 25-foot jumpers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good, Bill.
No, I agree. And excuse me. Also with Quickly, like I had mentioned, he has this thing where he's able to draw fouls, but they're not giving that to him. They're not. You're a rookie. You're not getting that. You think you're going to, throw your shoulder into them and just throw the ball up? No, it's a foul, but it's on the floor. Now, if he was doing what Henry said, going to the basket and getting fouled and and throwing up, and getting some and ones, then that would be a different story. I think the refs would officiate him a little differently. But he's seemingly coming in like he's trying to work the refs on these little humble. He touched me, so I'm gonna just throw the ball up, and you got to put me on the line. No, that's not going to work.
Right.
They're showing you through these past few games, you're not getting that call. So go to the hole, and even throw your teardrops, as Santana always mentioned. Drop your teardrop, or look your teardrop off, and throw a lob up there for one of the big guys to catch. Once you do that little consistently, then they're going to start leaving you open because you're not taking that shot. Then you can take the shot, and they're not going to leave you open, they're going to leave you open within a reasonable distance, even behind the 3-point line. Once they know that you're just driving. And then you can start dropping your shot. See, what I think happens is in practice, he's probably killing them out there, dropping these threes, or, he's probably the best 3-point shooter in these practices, especially since Burks has been out. So and then Tibbs went out there, talking about how great he is of the 3-point shooter. So he feels empowered to just go out. Well, I could go out there and launch him up whenever I want to because Tibbs has that confidence in me. No. Because as we can see, your shooting has been off. You're still effective because you draw attention to yourself and you're able to spread the ball around. You need to do more of that than shoot, especially outside shooting.
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Henry, you were going to say something.
Yes, I wanted to add Dream. He texted me and told me that he wasn't going to be able to make it today, but he did send me some notes about the game yesterday. I thought I'd share it with all of you.
Absolutely.
First of all, he says for tonight's game. Well, I'm not going to give you the prediction. I'll give the prediction at the end.
We'll say tonight's game for later.
Denver's rundown. He said they had 7 more rebounds and few steals, led to 10 more possessions for Denver. And those 10 possessions turned into a 25-point difference. We had 0 fast breaks, and their bench outscored us 52-21.
Wow. What's that little emoji?
What else? That explains it all. 21 points from the bench, 52 from their bench. No fast breaks. So we were always their defense was always waiting for us at the other end, and like I said in the beginning, sagging down. The lane is always clogged. Why? Because they know we don't have the consistent shooter from the outside.
And that's the thing. That plays into all that. That speaks to the big elephant in the room. Obviously, shooting. You know what I mean? And also, who's that second go-to guy? We don't have one. It's either Randall or bust.
Right.
On any given night, it could be any different player.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay, but you still need that second option that you can go to when Randall's working his magic on the inside. That perimeter guy got to be able to shoot that J where they're going to keep him honest, and then everybody else can get some. Everybody else can eat. But they don't have that second option at all in this team. Now, of course, he was expected to be, RJ was expected to be, if not the first, at least the second option. But right now, he's not even the third option because this cat is just unreliable, man. He's inconsistent, and that's sad. Now, in terms of running and gunning and stuff like that, yeah, they don't have the horses to run, and then they don't have the shooters to force the defense not to pack it in. So this was just a bad matchup for the Knicks because you're going up against Denver, which is one of the top, well, at least last year, they were one of the top defensive teams in the league. I don't know where they rank right now, but I know last year they must have been top 5. Last year they were top 5. So they have that type of team. Okay? The question is, when it comes to the Knicks, you can't make them be something they're not. So obviously they don't have the speed to be running and gunning and shooting and hooping and stuff like that. And this is why you got to slow the game down. You have no other choice because you got to cater it to your talent. If you don't have the horses to run, you got to slow it down, work the clock. It's like football, time of possession. When you used to have the New York Giants playing against high-powered offense, what did they do? They slowed the game down. They ran the ball. They did a lot of time of possession. They controlled the clock. Why did they do that? Because they knew they didn't have the firepower to be scoring 50 points a game. They wanted other teams to play down to their level so they could give themselves a shot to win. The problem with the Knicks is they don't have the shooting. They don't have that second option that's going to step up and be able to carry the load. How you going to fix that? I don't know. Go ahead.
I think. Sorry to cut you off, Henry.
No.
I think that Tibbs need to consider starting Rivers with Peyton. Start that, because Bullock is out there, and we know he's out there for his defense, but he's getting open looks, and he's just not making them most of the time. He's just, he had a good game a couple of games ago. He had 12 points or whatever it is, but he's supposed to make. I feel with Bullock how I feel about field goal kickers in football. If that's your job to knock down the three, you need to knock them down more than missing, especially when you're wide open. He gets wide open looks, and he's missing them. Then I see him, he tries to come a little closer. He's throwing up a little floater or, jump shots inside the foul line, and, he'll hit them here and there. But at the beginning, at the outset of the game, he's missing. He's missing those threes that I expect him, and I'm sure everyone else expects him to make. So since he's not making them, let him come off the bench and give us that firepower. He would have more confidence because he would be going up against, bench, second string, third string players. He would have more confidence to make them, and he can still provide the necessary defense on whoever the better offensive guard is that's out there. Give him that assignment. You have to guard him, but now, hopefully you can make these threes against the second string, because you're certainly not doing it on the offensive end as a starter. So maybe that's something that Tibbs is going to have to, mix and match a better starting five based on our opponent. So, and hopefully maybe he'll start that with tonight.
Henry?
Yes, I think that we have forgotten that this is not the opening game starting lineup.
Right.
The opening, the game that, or the lineup that we opened the season with included Alec Burks, and he was averaging 20 points a game.
Yes, he was.
Consistent shooter and efficient 20 points a game. He wasn't chucking up 30 or 40 shots to get those 20 points. Right. So that is the first, I guess, breakdown in our offense. Once he left, now we have to put in somebody else to try to replace those 20 points, and we haven't found that person since. So that's the first thing. Secondly, you're probably absolutely right. Mr. Bill, maybe changing up the lineup needs to be done. And in that case, if it's going to be Rivers, who's going to be starting in the place of
Bullock.
In place of Bullock, again, we are going to lose some defense. So we're giving up defense for offense, but we need both. And so I didn't know that he was supposed to be a 3-point specialist, but Bullock, that was supposed to be his strong suit.
Yeah,
he's a 3-and-D guy.
But he's a line drive shooter, though. You know what I mean? Knox and Obi, they be throwing them rainbows, and this cat is throwing fastballs at the basket.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why he misses a lot of those shots, because it's so flat. The shot is flat. Right. But, again, he's played this long, so obviously that's worked for him. It's not working for the Knicks, though. That's part of the problem. Now, I know Nathaniel, he brought up the fact that, the Knicks could use a Levine. Levine, yeah, definitely. Now, in order to get a Levine, you would have to make a trade. And so, definitely, if we could get Levine, by all means, let's get him. Another guy, though, that I have mentioned, that I've been saying throughout, is Corver. He's a free agent. He's a free agent. We don't have to trade.
And we could get him for a Happy Meal.
Yeah. Exactly. Because we need his dimension to the game, which is moving without the ball, number one. And number two, we know he can shoot.
Yeah.
He can shoot. They got to defend him. They can't pack it in, because he's going to get wide open shots if they try to pack it in.
And
which is Henry's
wide open, he's dropping it.
Oh, he's dropping it. You know what I mean? And so, to Henry's point in terms of any defense, sagging or zoning or doubling down and stuff like that, the minute you have a Corver type in there, and then when Burks gets healthy or Levine type, if we were to trade for him, then you're going to have guys that can hit shots from the perimeter, and that's the key. You got those guys that can hit those shots, then that opens up the inside game for Randall. Randall could do even more in the low post. And then, Barrett will have to take a seat, man, and come off the bench until he figure out his game or work on his game to the point that he's going to be effective on the floor. Because right now, the points that he's getting, man, those are random points, man. They're not significant. They're not making an impact in the game.
And he's taking too many shots to get those points.
And so many minutes.
Yeah, he's playing 40-plus minutes.
Yeah.
He's taking too many shots to average whatever he averages, 17, 18 points, whatever that is.
Right. I want to see him assist and stuff like that. If your shot is not falling, at least attack the basket and kick it out. Kick it out. Because you don't have a sense of how to get your layup off and make it, or if you're trying to teardrop from an angle as opposed to from right underneath the rim and stuff like that, then, pass it up. Pass the rock.
Teardrops make me have teardrops. Real teardrops.
Hey.
And it ain't no kiss off the glass either.
No.
It's a brick off the glass.
This teardrops leave me crying. So.
Go ahead, Evan.
You want to hear stats. RJ Barrett is averaging 16.5 points a game and 3.3 assists a game in 10 games. It's 10 games. He's had 5 good games and 5 bad games. Basically,
he's playing
right?
practically the whole game, though.
What's that again?
He's playing practically the whole game. So I would submit to you that you give, I hate to be that one, you give Kevin Knox 44 minutes. He can score 15, 16 points a game too.
Okay.
You give these other guys 44 minutes a game, they can put up those same numbers, which is what RJ is not supposed to be. RJ is supposed to be right now, I guess, our number 2, a solid, efficient player. Like I see his upside being, I feel that he should be able to turn out into a Jimmy Butler type, but he's not showing that now. He's not. He's more like Jimmy Walker right about now. I'm sorry.
Jimmy Walker? Is that a
Kid Dynamite?
Whoa!
It's unfortunate. I mean, I know he's a good kid. He's a good kid. He's gonna give you the effort and everything else, but he's got flaws in his game that need work, and these are fundamental type of flaws. His fundamentals, his shot, you can see it whenever he's trying to launch a 3. He's at an angle, man. He's not square.
Right.
He's not square. And
it's
then on top,
shoulders pointing towards the basket.
Yeah, exactly. And then when he's going to the basket, the same thing. It's just like, I know he's a left-handed player, but look at Randall. Randall's a left-handed player, and he squares. Right. When he shoots that jumper, he squares. Yeah. Some of them he misses from 3-point line, but he's square. And when he's in the low post in that mid-range, he's square. When he's attacking the basket, he goes in angles and he finishes. That's cool. That's square. This cat, man, he's killing me.
And also with Randall, if you notice, even the ones that he missed, a lot of times they go in and just rim out.
Yeah.
With RJ, he shoots it. Sometimes it doesn't even hit the rim.
It doesn't even hit the backboard.
Right. He sometimes it's air balls, and once in a blue, he'll drop a couple, I guess on his good shooting nights. But he needs it to be consistently enough to where the opposing team doesn't feel like they could just leave you open. And I think that they feel, listen, we could leave this guy open. If he takes 10, he's only going to hit maybe 2 of them. I think that's the sentiment of the opposing teams with regard to him. He can't shoot. You just really can't shoot.
Let me just respond to Nathaniel's point in terms of, you can't have guards with 1 assist per game. And I mentioned this in the previous broadcast, and that is, there's some accountability that a guard has in that part of the equation. The second part of that equation is if you pass it to somebody and they're shooting bricks and they're missing shots, and maybe that's the reason why he rather pass it to Randall, because Randall's the most reliable guy. Anybody else, it's a crapshoot. You don't know who's gonna hit. Now I know that doesn't help team chemistry or whatever the case may be, because you want your point guard to be able to dish, dropping dimes and keep everybody happy. But at the same time, you expect it to win. And so the question is, when you're in there as a point guard, you want to go obviously with your horse. And right now, the horse is Randall. The fact that he ended up with 1 assist, yes, maybe if that's Peyton, who obviously is playing point guard, not having, more than an assist, there's some blame to go to him. But you also have to look at, okay, let's see how many passes he made and see what the outcome was of that pass. Was it a turnover or was it a missed shot? Because that's also a contributing factor. And then also quickly, I don't know how many assists he had. When he comes in the game, if he's coming in and he's chucking, okay. So there you have it. You know what I mean? But go ahead, Henry. I know that you wanted to.
I just can't stop trying to make the point about the fact of how much we miss Alec Burks.
Yeah, we do.
With Alec Burks in the lineup, this conversation would be going totally different. I mean, I'm not sure that we were going to beat Denver regardless, even if we had, 3 Alec Burks on the floor. But the OKC game would have been a lot different. And so, and even the Toronto Raptors games could have been different. Alec Burks was supposed to be our number 2 option, not RJ Barrett, not anybody else, not Bullock, not even Rivers. It was Alec Burks. He was brought in here because he is a scorer, and he is a true scorer. He's not like one of these guys that goes, at least from what we've seen, from the sample that we have, and from the fact that when he was in, he was with the Warriors. Okay, I think I seen pictures of him with the Jazz at one point. And so my thing is that he was averaging 53.1 at field goals, free throws, field goal percentage, 53. Wow. All right. 3-point, 66. Okay. Free throws, 90%. You can't overstate how much that is needed in an offense. Because when you have that is a person that needs to be paid attention to. And I right now, the rest of the league didn't really see this Alec Burks. They remember him from when he was with, coming off the bench somewhere else. But now he's starting with this team. This is what he was giving us. And from my perspective, I didn't expect anything less. If you're giving me this for 3 games, I expected in the 4th game, the 5th game, the 6th game, and all the way on through. Because that's who he is by nature.
Is he playing for me?
So this is why I feel that once he went down, everything else, kind of like now we're looking around to make up for those 20 points. And everybody else feels this responsibility to take it upon themselves to be that person that is going to, substitute those minutes and those points and that production. And I think they're all forcing themselves into that spot instead of just letting the game come to them, do whatever little bit it is that you can do. Okay. Like I said, it gets late real early for the Knicks because they start thinking that they can bring us back individually. And, when they start going for themselves or thinking that, the play already broke down because they passed the ball to me. All I can do with this is throw it up in the air. And, they don't go to a second option or a third option. And all the third options and everything is just handoff at the 3-point line. I'll hand it off to you. You hand it off to the other guy. The other guy hands it up throws it across, and before you know it, there's 5 seconds left in the thing, and we have to find the shot.
Do you know if he's in the lineup tonight, Henry?
I don't think so, man. I was just
Works?
looking up, and I don't see his information. Let me get back to what's happening with the lineup.
Yeah, while Henry looks for that, you found it?
Not yet.
Okay, I mean, it's funny to think that, going into the season, that we would be thinking that Alec Burks was going to be our second option. You would have thought that with 9 months off, that RJ Barrett and some of these other players, whether it's Kevin Knox and Dennis Smith Jr., who had some minutes last night, would have developed their game to the point that they could be more reliable. And unfortunately, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that at all. We're seeing a lot of inconsistency, especially from Barrett. One game yes, one game off, and Kevin Knox. And then, Dennis Smith Jr., I mean, obviously now, last night he got on the floor. But again, even when he's out there, he doesn't have, it's like you have certain players, where they're going to get their points from. You don't know where Dennis Smith is going to get his points from. You know that Randall could get his points in the low post, in the mid-range. That's his pocket. You know what I'm saying? He could do that. We know that Peyton, his best strength is taking it to the basket and finishing in the rim. Not necessarily shooting outside, but taking it to the basket. We know that. You know what I mean? But when you look at Dennis Smith Jr., you're like, you don't know what he's going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. But go ahead, Henry. I don't know if you did the.
No, he's still listed as out
okay.
At the shooting guard position. Tosh Gibson, day-to-day. Reggie Bullock is now day-to-day. Nilikina, Toppin, and Dennis Smith Jr. and Burks are all out.
Dennis Smith Jr. is out?
Well, I think this is bad information because that was on January 6th. Today, they only have Tosh Gibson and Reggie Bullock on the 11th in the injury report. So I don't even see Alex Burks' name on the injury report for today's game.
Hopefully,
so I don't know what that means.
Hopefully.
I don't know. Let's not take out the pom-poms. Don't take them out yet.
Okay, I'm leaving them in the garbage.
Don't put them in the garbage. I didn't say put them in the garbage. I just
that's where they are. That's where they are. But I ain't take the garbage out yet.
Don't get those pom-poms because you might need them tonight. Okay, you might need them tonight. Listen, after all is said and done, fellas, we are in a better place than we were expected, than I was expected to be. Okay, we are 6th in the East and 3rd in the Atlantic Division. Is that weird, or what? Is that weird?
That is
and
weird.
We are 5-5. Okay,
and we would have all signed up for that if we would have at the beginning of
going in. Yeah.
I had them at 2-8 after 10 games. I think I mentioned it to Santana.
Yeah.
Okay, I had them at 2-8 after 10 games, and they surprised me, and they disappointed me, of course. And what happens is that we get too high on them when they're playing that good. When they show us that they can play that good, we say, "Oh wow, this is a championship team." And when they start seeing the rest of the league, this is a lottery team. So, hey, relax, everybody. We're going to be, I think the prediction is probably right. I think it's going to be still 30 games. Santana gave me 32 and a half and then said 35. The Dream said 40.
No, I think he said 37.
37. Oh, okay.
That's what I was saying as well, 37.
Yeah, but somebody out here I was reading was saying that they're on the trajectory to win 40 games. Woo! That's awesome. That's really optimistic.
Well, let's transition because we got about 15 minutes left, and let's talk about tonight's game. I don't know if you wanted to start off with dreams,
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
projection, and then we'll go from there.
He didn't necessarily give me. I asked him about what he thought about. More information with regards to tonight's game. I thought he would give me a lot more to go on, whether or not he felt that we were going to be doing good against Dozier and what we're going to be able to handle. The power forward situation. All he said was basically, where am I? Knicks 97, Hornets 93.
Okay.
97, 93 Knicks. That's his prediction.
Bill, you want to?
Yeah, I'll give a prediction because I don't, I've only seen a little bit of the Hornets, and that was basically because I just, went on YouTube to watch some highlights. I wanted to see him go against his brother, and then I saw that he set a record, the youngest player to record a triple-double, LaMelo. The kid is good. However, we put put a little bump and grind on him, and let's see how he handles that. And I think with that said, he's a big guy. He's a big guy too. He's like 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah.
He rebounds well.
Yeah.
He passes.
He's an active body.
And his shot has been decent.
Yeah.
As ugly and crazy as it looks, it's been working for him.
Yeah.
Which is better than we can say about our guys who have these pretty forms. Kevin Knox everybody talks about how his form is, but okay. That means nothing if it's not dropping more than not. So with that said, I will say New York 101, the Hornets 94.
Wow. Whoa. That's okay, man. That's okay.
See, I'm looking at the Hornets, and I've seen a few games here and there and stuff like that because I'm intrigued by LaMelo, and I think LaMelo has adapted well into the NBA, and the advantage is because he played overseas. That overseas experience prepared him to play against men, and that's why he's playing at the level that he's playing because he's out there. He's close to triple-double anytime he plays because he has that court vision. So he is a potential, special player because he has those attributes. I mean, that ball does not stick with him. It's moving. He's making sure it's moving. He gets a rebound. He's looking down court. If not, he's dribbling, and then he's creating space and making the extra pass or the no-look pass. And he's been very effective. And then on defense, he's scrambling. So I'm impressed with him. Then you have Gordon Hayward. He's been doing his thing there as well. Even though I know that signing or that trade was much maligned, but I know in one of these games he dropped 44, and he has his fundamentals down. He worked with Kobe before Kobe passed away, so he worked on his game. Of course, what set him back was that injury when he broke his leg. The first game in his when he was in Boston, and then he had to sit out that season and come back the following season. And then you got Rozier. Rozier, man, that cat, he's solid. He's a solid point guard. Yeah, man. He's a solid point guard. He could, he's aggressive. He could shoot. He could take it to the basket. And then you got Graham as well. Graham, that kid can shoot. He likes to chuck a little bit. Excuse me. He likes to chuck a little bit, but he can shoot. You know what I mean? So you could digest that a little bit better. Is when you got guys that like to chuck but can't shoot. That kills me. Because then you gotta figure out a different way to contribute to the game, as opposed to thinking you could shoot and you're missing everything. And that was Knox, last year and the year before. At least this year, he's being a little bit more judicious in his shot selection. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in that respect. Okay? And he knows that he's on a short leash with Captain Hook, because he'll pull him. You know what I mean? With that being said, I'm gonna say I was struggling here with my heart and my mind. And again, I'm gonna have to pick Charlotte 100, Knicks 90, and hope that I'm wrong. Because right now, I have not seen the Knicks have the approach that they need to win these games. Both these games, their approach, they left a lot to be desired. And on top of that, they didn't have that second guy that they could rely on. And they haven't proven that. They need to prove that. They need to prove that. That's my take. Go ahead, Henry.
Well, again, I agree with both of you guys. Charlotte is deep, man. Charlotte is deep, and they added to that deep. They had our number last year. You know, they had Devontae Graham. He's no joke. Terry Rozier. I mean, their guards are downhill players. They're gonna attack the basket. You know, Mitchell might be out of the game by the second quarter, you know, to because of the 2 or 3 fouls. That Cody Seller guy, he's always killing us from the outside. Not to mention, they got Bismack Biyombo in the middle now. You know, I mean, what the hell? What's going to happen here? You know? And now they added LaMelo Ball and Gordon Hayward. I think they got better than we did. Absolutely. And they had our number last year. So the heart, the mind, the heart, you know what I'm saying? Which way I want to go? I'm saying the Knicks are coming out of the doldrums. Okay? I don't care if it is an away game. We seem to play better away than we do at home anyway. It's going to be Knicks 100 to 95.
Okay. And then we got a prediction from, our super fan, Nathaniel Hurt. And I'm going to put it up on the screen.
Okay, Nathaniel.
There it is.
He got 107 to 103. Charlotte. All right. So we got Knicks. Well, we all going Knicks again?
No, I picked Charlotte.
Yeah.
Oh, you went to Charlotte. The 100 to 90 Charlotte.
Santana and Nate, they both went to Charlotte.
Okay. All right. I respect that. I mean, that's what those guys are showing us that they are.
Until I can see a consistent second option, right now I'm going to reserve judgment, in terms of giving them the benefit of the doubt. Because right now, if their only option is Randall, it's not going to be enough.
No.
It's not going to be enough. They need a second option. Or if they don't have a consistent second, then everybody else has to play a good, decent game. Their bench has to score more points. Otherwise, and believe you me, I still do have hope that they could win 35, but they got to prove certain things right now to get to 35. Yeah. And if not, make a trade not even give it, sign Culver.
Right.
Sign Culver. What you got to lose?
Sign him. He'll show you this is how it should be done. He'll be running around those screens. He'll be wide open for shots. And maybe he'll show Bullock quickly. And even Burks to
Barrett.
And Barrett. This is how you get open. And when you get open, square up and take your shot. Don't just force it up because you got 2 seconds where no one is on you, so you're just going to throw up anything. That's not going to work for us.
Not going to cut it. Not going to cut it.
No more.
Not going to cut it. So Henry, you want to close us out?
They're on a 3-game winning streak.
Yeah, they got momentum, bro.
So
they're finding themselves.
Oh boy. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Knicks fans all over the world, we want to thank you for joining us today. Want to thank Nathaniel for joining in the chat, and hope to continue to see him. And remember, once a Knick,
always a Knick.